This video was voted on by the sexy/classy VIPers over at the Flophouse Lounge. Do you want to force me to play things? Well then check out the link in the description and see how you can customize Destiny itself. Thanks, and stay floppy. Hello, welcome to another Godzilla focused video. This is G-Force. Is this the review? I don't know, but you Flophouse VIPers chose for me to review the Hanna-Barbera 1978 Godzilla shit show that I don't think anybody's ever actually watched. I haven't really actually watched it until today, and this is going to be a review. And when I say review, I mean it's not a review, because I can't review this. I can't possibly... What am I supposed to say? It's a bad, cheap, Hanna-Barbera licensed IP cartoon show that's really, really poor in just about every metric. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to review it per se. What I can say is that it's very formulaic. Every episode is exactly the same as the last episode. It's a bunch of Scooby-Doo motherfuckers running around, and they can control Godzilla. And they have a little Godzilla friend, Godzuki. This is the original Godzuki, except no substitutes. So they drive around in their van, their boat, their mystery boat, and solve mysteries from around the world. So I will say, as a positive, them being in a boat and just sailing all around the globe, that leads to a lot of variety, but it's also, again, not a lot of variety because it's the same thing every time. They go to a next place. Oh, there's a weird fucked up weather pattern. Oh, there's some bullshit in the water. It's bad, but it is kind of hilarious. It is one of those things you can watch and kind of have a laugh at. So there's that. I don't recommend anyone buy it or watch it. It's not that good. So, yeah. So I thought I had the start of the series, like volume 1 on DVD. I think I got this in the mailbag years and years ago. I think. But I actually looked and I was like, oh, it's volume 3, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter ultimately, but I have volume 3, which is made up of about 5 episodes. The Magnetic Terror, The Island of Lost Ships, The Breeder Beast, which is a name I'm uncomfortable with, The Sub-Zero Terror, and finally The Time Dragons, which sounds cool, but it's really not. So first off, what we have to talk about is the intro to this show, because, oh man, it's a whopper.
Up from the depths, 30 stories high, breathing fire, his hand in the sky. Godzilla, 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 and Godzuki.
First off, did Hanna-Barbera even have the license for the character? Why does he look so different? Like, that's not what late 70s Godzilla even really looked like. He wasn't that bright of a green. He didn't shoot fire. What's with the fire? It's the same thing in the Marvel Comics run of the year prior. So I don't know. I feel like they didn't think they had the license to the character's image. Maybe they just had the name. I don't know. He breathes fire. Fuck off. No. What's wrong with atomic breath? Why is it so taboo? And he's 30 stories high.
30 stories high.
In the 70s, I think he's 60 meters high. That's not 30 stories, is it? I don't actually know. Maybe that is correct. Alright, so the first thing upon watching this episode is the backgrounds are so cheap. Like, you know when cartoons have that painted like look, that means nothing in the background's gonna move? All of these are like that. It's a slight step above 60s Spider-Man, 1967 Spider-Man. That was 10 years ago, back then. So it just smacks of laziness, but I guess there wasn't a lot of money being thrown around, not like today on Cartoon Network and such.
Godzuki!
And then we get introduced to Godzuki, which is just, he looks like Pete's dragon or Puff the Magic Dragon. He just looks like a generic dragon dick sneeze. It just, nothing about him is appealing. He doesn't have a cool, rude attitude like even Scrappy do.
You are here today, Scrappy?
You are a genius! genius! How'd you figure that out?
At least Scrappy-Doo is kind of an asshole, but Godzuki's just... He's basically a more useless Scooby, which is real sad. And the other thing about Godzuki is that, I'm sorry, I'm not a physicist, but like, his wings cannot support his frame. He's got this fucking apple bottom. And I don't believe in Godzuki that way. I just don't, like, no. My suspension, again, of disbelief is being thrown out the fucking window. It's taking a beating in this show, just trying to look at Godzuki move and do anything. I gotta be honest, in the Magnetic Terror, this monster, this new kaiju, OC Do Not Steal, it's not that bad looking. I was actually kind of shocked. I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, it's fine. Of course, then, after this new monster terrorizes enough stuff, they have to call in Godzilla proper. And how do they do that? With a Godzilla pager.
Haven't any choice. We call Godzilla.
It's kind of weird. Sometimes if they don't have this pager ready, or the fucking captain threw it down a toilet, like if he just loses it, or he's bound and gagged by any manner of things that might bound and gag him, don't worry, because that's the other reason why Godzuki's even here, because he can just into the sky and Godzilla can hear him.
Call him, Zuki, and hurry!
No matter where they are. The pager has a range, but seemingly Godzuki doesn't? So I guess he is useful that way. Okay. Fuck. So Godzilla has fire breath, yeah? Which is stupid, yeah? He also has Superman eye lasers. And eventually Godzilla just gets tired of fighting this monster, just walks off. Fuck that kaiju, don't know her. Just walks off. Fuck this. Why can't they get the official roars from Toho? Toho's name is on this show. But they just have these, they just have Frank Welker or some motherfucker just go blah, 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 blah. Like that's it. The entire show, every episode. Why can't you get the roars from Toho? If Toho didn't allow it, then that's not on you, that's on them. But why license the show and not the sound effects? It makes no sense to me. So in a couple of shots, this turtle, this like low-rank Gamera, his flippers, he has flippers in some shots, and other shots, he just has hands. Just draw hands now. Stay on model, please. For fuck's sake, at least stay on model. And like Godzuki has to call Godzilla in again, and he does this weird squat, and it looks like he's just taking a dump. It's very odd, and I did not like this part of the episode. And nothing gets the king of the monsters over as a huge threat than him just clowning around. Here's your clown suit, Godzilla, because he's slipping on ice and shit, falling on his ass. It's embarrassing. And this explosion at the end of this episode, oh my god, I just... look at it. And that's the conclusion of the Ice Beast. What's it called? The Magnetic Terror. Honestly, all that stuff is really stupid, but it was, again, it had a campiness to it that makes it watchable in a bad sort of way. So, you know, there is that.
We're saved, Skipper! We're saved! Yes, saved, Brock. Godzilla, are we glad to see you?
Next, we have the Island of Lost Ships, and it's kind of a weird one. Wait, did I say that? Really? All of them are weird. Godzuki just literally makes Scooby-Doo noises. I think they may even be recycled. I mean, you save money by just using the old recordings. Also here, Zuki's size changes every scene per episode. Sometimes he's next to the stupid kid character, and he's massive. And other times the kid goes up to Godzuki's shoulders. Don't you not have character sheets? Come on, Hanna-Barbera. I'm assuming one of you or both of you are dead, but if you're not, go back and correct this shit. So we're basically on a Greek island. There's these 3 chicks just walking around, and they say that our crew cannot leave for some reason. And it's like a little on the nose. They're like, oh, it's the siren call.
Captain Majors, snap out of it.
Fortunately, we have a very nice cameo from some snoo skeletons. They're in the corner of the dungeon that we're exploring right now. And the sirens can turn people to stone, which makes them Gorgons. But they never actually turn into Gorgons. They're just mixing and mashing all of the Greek myths together for some reason. So they're releasing some Chimera. That's the big baddie that Godzilla needs to find this episode. The Chimera is locked in some outhouse, and he just kind of bursts out of it, and he's really small sometimes when he comes out of the house. But with a Chimera gun, Godzilla needs to fight something. And then we get to see them turn into a giant woman. Giant woman! But she doesn't look very interesting. She's just the same woman again. She's just big. The Chimera comes back and takes a swipe, takes a run at Godzilla, and somehow fails. You can't keep having your monsters, your kaiju, flop and flip around like fucking idiots. Like, it's not getting them over as legit threats. And like, I know it's a kid show, but we have enough Godzuki hijinks over there. Anyway, they escape the island, shocking, and they're like, they don't tell the government, maybe you should bomb the shit out of this place. There's a Minotaur down there somewhere too, by the way, if I didn't say. Next we have the breeding beast, which is, why has it got to be called that? That's weird. Monster of the Breeding Beast episode, it's kind of like it changes forms throughout it, and at first it looks like some weird type of female looking thing. Some intercontinental ballistic missiles are shot across the sky. I don't know for how many miles. Godzilla catches them in midair. That shit's clutch. And then they basically start shouting at Godzilla, like all the humans. They're just like, no, Godzilla, don't go that far. No. Is he their slave now? It's again a little bit before Godzilla just kind of appeared and saw the problem and dealt with it. But in this episode, they're basically ordering him around, and he's kind of looking down like, what the fuck do you want me to do? It's so uncomfortable.
That's it, Godzilla! You just stay with us! Stay with us until we need you!
And finally, they figure out the weak point of this monster, the breeding beast. It's the giant red dot that we've seen the entire episode. Fuck off. So the 4th episode I subjected myself to, thank you Flophouse VIPers, is the Sub-Zero Terror. Yeah, an ice monster, cool. Can't really think of many ice-based threats in the Godzilla franchise before this. In terms of the monster actually having a lot of cold-based powers, that's pretty unique. I'll give it that. So basically they wind up on some other weird, stupid island, and there's this doctor character, like a researcher, that's not part of the usual group. And some Sherpas are guiding him into this mountain range, and they warn him of possibly there's a weird creature that might be patrolling the mountain ranges. He's like, preposterous. Dude, you live in a world with fucking God. No. Yeah. Malarkey. This show doesn't even behave under its own logic. You're living in a world with giant monsters all over. Plus, this doctor is familiar with the crew from the boat. Basically, what they discover at the top of this mountain is savage land. Like, it's just a wholesale ripoff. This is probably my moment of the show. Is just someone like these weird Yeti-like monsters that live in this place. He takes the the coat of one of the Sherpas, and he turns around and...
The police, sir, they want you.
You're not Tenzing.
You call us snowmen.
All the main cast get like pulled into this plot of these weird Yeti monsters, and they're just like, man, we're all getting frozen up in here, but fortunately, they're able to escape. Of course, this Yeti race also has frost giants, and the frost giants try to grab at some women, but Godzilla bats them away, because Godzilla respects women. You gotta learn this lesson, Yeti monsters.
Godzilla, the horrible lizard from the sea, will return on the Cartoon Network.
This is gonna be a running theme for the entirety of the show. I don't mean to say it now, but at the end of every episode, Godzuki does some dumb bullshit. Every single episode. He falls on his ass, he falls into the water, always does something, and someone looks at him and says,
Godzuki!
So the last episode on this DVD was called The Time Dragons, which I'm like, okay, that could be a thing. It's not a thing. Basically, it's one of those like time traveling episodes. Everyone gets sent back into time and no one really understands, but it does have that cliched line where once their entire ship warps into like 20 million years into the past or whatever it is, someone says, "Where are we?" And then they're replied with,
Not where, Brock. The question is when.
I called that shit. When? Yeah, it's always going to be that question. How far does this phrase go back? This is 78. Jesus. Apparently this whole time storm, quake, whatever you like to call it, is caused by meteors. Now, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an astrologist yet. I'm pretty sure meteors can cause time storms. Pretty sure. So once they go back 20,000 billion years into the past, Godzilla's fighting regular basic bitch dinosaurs. Always refreshing to see real dinosaurs in media. I always like it when someone stands up for the truth and what's right, so that's good. But Godzilla versus a regular dinosaur goes about how you'd expect it to. Okay, so there's a line that Brock says. They're walking through the jungle, and Brock goes,
This jungle is getting monotonous. Everything is green.
For fuck's sake, dude. For fuck's sake. You're in a jungle. Anyway, back on task. So, back in the past, there's cavemen. Because, of course, it's the 70s. No one really knew any better. You see how I pick and choose what things about, like, modern science I like? Yeah, dinosaurs look like this, but I know that cavemen and dinosaurs never existed. Like, that's fine, but that's my own truth. You guys have your own truth. Anyway, these cavemen know English.
Quiet, slaves.
Slaves?
Silence. All captured strangers are slaves.
And they also can see or know about dragons. So they name every dinosaur they see a dragon, dragon, dragon. Like, everything's a dragon to them. So I get distinct Turok vibes from this episode. That, you know, our modern people are telling these people, these cave guys, about all this stuff. Like, hey, we're trying to get back to our ship. Don't fucking do that. Don't tell the cavemen about ships and crap. You don't know what that's gonna do. That's dangerous, huh? Basically, they just get back to their normal time period because of reasons. And Godzilla just starts whipping shit. It's hilarious. It's a nice shot to go out on for this ultimate episode on Volume 3 of the DVD, The Time Dragons. I watched this with Leanna. We did have a laugh or two. I'll give it that. It was between this and the Godzilla, the series based on the 1998 movie, the Fox one. I watched 2 episodes of that just for fun a few weeks ago, and it was fine. I didn't really laugh. I didn't not like it. It was kind of like a 6 or a 7. I didn't watch every episode, but that was interesting to me. Is this Hanna-Barbera series funnier and more entertaining because it's so stupid? Maybe. Anyway, if you love stupid old cartoons like this, I think it might be worth a watch, at least 1 volume of the DVD, maybe 5 episodes. Maybe not watch all of it because it would be mind grating. It would just be like a cheese grater on your fucking head until it's raw and bloody, until you can't take another like vocalization from Godzuki, because I got sick of those real quick. Anyway, that was Godzilla 1978 by Hanna-Barbera. I hope you enjoyed this review and you're enjoying all the other Godzilla content that's been on the channel so far, and we're not quite there yet. We still have a few more things, and I hope all you kaiju fans, you know, new and old, are liking this. We're living our best life with this new Godzilla verse that we're all trying to consume. I'm very excited, and I really hope you guys are all excited too. Not for this though. Don't be excited for this.